Hi everybody! So today I'm going to be making homemade pasta and my own special sauce. It is a spicy tomato based sauce. It's kind of like an arrabbiata just with a shit ton of stuff in it. And here you can play with it. So you can add ingredients you prefer, take out if something if you don't want it. If you don't eat meat, don't add the bacon. So yeah, this is basically, you can have fun with it. But this is just how I usually make it. Usually we'll have like a girls' night and I will make the homemade pasta, and we kind of do this together. It's actually a lot of fun to do together, especially with a bottle of wine. But anyway, ingredients. So for the actual pasta, we're going to be having some all-purpose flour and some semolina flour. And I've put about 50-50 here, about 3/4 cups each, because I don't need that much pasta today. And eggs, it's super important that the eggs are room temperature, not cold from the fridge. And that's basically it. There might be some oil as well and some salt. For the sauce, here's some huge tomatoes peeled. And you guys, it is important that you peel it. You might think it's not, but trust me, I tried without peeling. It doesn't fucking work. So just peel it. Otherwise, you can also use canned tomatoes instead of having fresh tomatoes. That's a little easier if you don't want to do it all the way from scratch. But, fresh tomatoes taste better. And some mushrooms, onion. Here I have cut up little strips of bacon. It's about like 3 strips of bacon that I just cut up into little pieces. These baby tomatoes will be mainly for decoration purposes, but also just nice to have some smaller tomatoes. Tomato puree or tomato paste, garlic, chili, and capers. Oh, and basil. Some of these, maybe like this one kind of looks pretty, we'll use that for decoration reasons. The others will rip up a little bit and put into the sauce. It just adds some really good taste. So to begin, I will be making the pasta. I need to clear this area. For the pasta, we will be using a little sieve and blending the two flours together. So we can just blend this kind of together and then sift it through so it all gets mixed. You're also going to be needing a fork. So you can kind of just blend it together at first and make sure that your tabletop is clean. And just sieve it together here. This will make it just a little finer, and little lumps will be gone, as well as blending the two together. Now we're going to be needing to make a crater in here. So we're just going to pat it together. Oh, oops. And then we're going to have to make a crater. So just kind of push it a little to the side, because in here the eggs are going to go. It's pretty good. Probably. I think we're just going to start with one. What do you guys think? Should we start with one and then introduce the others? Or should we put all of them in at once? Yeah, maybe we should put all of them in at once. Oh no! This is why it's important to have the crater, so this shit doesn't happen. But you know what? As I always say, you're gonna fuck shit up. That's just bound to happen. So I guess we'll just have to gradually. Can you even see? Am I covering? No! No, 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 no. No! Oh, it's going through underneath. So I guess we're doing this. Well, this didn't go so well. The important thing is the result, really. Well, we still need that third egg, so let's just try to add that in here somewhere. Let's like make a little crater. The point is you're supposed to gradually add the flour and mix it all together, you know, without doing what I did earlier. How do they make it look so fancy in those like really nice videos? I don't know. You can also use a stand mixer if you want, if you prefer. But apparently this is how it's supposed to. I mean, I don't think I'm doing it how it's supposed to be done, but so do what I'm doing except better. So as you can see, this is very sticky. We're gonna have to add a little flour. So this is how you like, you know, it all depends on the size of the egg and like everything. Add a little more flour if it's this sticky, because it shouldn't get stuck in the actual pasta machine, which I will show you later. Oh, it's getting there. I think this is good. This is good. Always keep the flour handy, so in case you need more flour, because the key is it should not be getting stuck in the machine. So for the pasta machine, this is the pasta machine. You can also get, like for the KitchenAid stand mixer, you can get an additional part for that and using that instead. But this is the old school pasta machine. So it's called the Atlas 150. I'm gonna be attaching this to the kitchen counter, so I'm gonna have to move this camera somehow. PRB. So with this, we have, let me see, yeah, you guys can see this. This knob, you have to always start at 0. That determines the distance here. You start at 0, you're gonna go down to whichever size, however thin you want your pasta. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna do somewhere around 5 or 6. And then afterwards, we're gonna take it through, we're gonna take the lever, this lever that you can put on in the front here. We're gonna move that to over here, and then we're gonna take it through the cutter. And there's like 2 different sizes here, so you can choose which one you want. All right, so start taking it through. So now I'm feeling that this is kind of sticky. This is why it's great to have that flour. But since I took the all-purpose flour earlier, I'm gonna go back and get the semolina now. But yeah, just like reapply it because it will get like stickier once it gets through. And I'm gonna be folding it over like maybe in thirds. That way it gets like the nice, you know, squared line. Do that a few times at 0, and then we go over to 1. Fold it into a third again. That's good. Now we're gonna take it over to 1. Good. Switch it over to 2. You guys, you know what? You get the drill. I might just like skip a little, so you don't have to pay attention to absolutely all of it because that's a little boring. Now, when it starts to get like this long, you might as well cut it in half. This is, I mean, come on. You don't want your pasta to be that long anyway. So you might as well cut it in half and then just do 2 different batches. Also, that's just easier then. It's getting hard at this point. Taking a tiny bit of flour just so it doesn't like get stuck to each other. And this can just, you know, lay over here and wait a little bit. I think this looks good. This was what, 6? Number 6? This looks good, right? So we're gonna keep it to number 6 and then take it on the other side and cut it. So now we're gonna switch it on the other side, take the lever to the cutter and cut them. There are 2 different sizes of pasta here. This is like a fettuccine. This is like really, really thin linguine. I think we're gonna do this one. Placing the lever and it comes out like this. So just keep going. And oops. See? Ta-da! So now I'm gonna grab, this is a very standard pasta drying tray. You can also dry it on like a drying rack, or if you don't have any of these, to lay it out on a clean dry towel. That works too, but this is awesome because it just like hangs it over. So you just take different strands and hang it over. Oh, these are too long for that. So I'd have to I might have to cut these or I'd have to place a tree on something else. Just make sure to separate them more than this. Like this, they'll get stuck to each other. You don't want that because then you'll just be like a lump of dough. So you can spread them out. Try to separate them, you know. It's already getting stuck. And one ripped. That happens. Then this one can go on this lower one. But yeah, so you want to try to keep them separate, you know? As clearly I'm not doing very well here. And then just hanging them to dry like this. I'll be doing that. You don't have to watch me do it with every one of them. So I'll cut. This is where honestly it would have been so handy to have 3 arms for this, you know, so I could hold each end and the lever. But no, we have to. Now this is the number 6, so this is done. Taking it over to the cutting side. Try to get it, you know, as evenly as possible. Look at that, that's gorgeous. Gorgeous. So I'm just gonna be catching on this side. Look at that. Beautiful. Then just immediately separating them. Ooh. So they don't get stuck. And then leave them to dry while we make the sauce. The sauce, the sauce, the sauce. Okay, so now that this is drying, we can start making the sauce. The sauce, the sauce, the sauce. So taking these large tomatoes, it's really good to have a stomper. I mean, potato masher, I guess this is, but this is good. I like using this. So take the tomatoes in here. There's just a tiny bit of water now. Taking these in there. And I'm cooking this. Look at how juicy these tomatoes are. These are amazing. And I've mentioned this so many times before, but I love going to farmers markets so that you support local farmers and growers and entrepreneurs, and these are locally grown, huge heirloom tomatoes. Or if you have a can of tomatoes, you just empty the can in instead of doing this. But you can just leave that for a while. In the saucepan, we're going to make all the vegetables and the bacon and such. So to start, we're going to throw in oil and onion. So just, olive oil. Throw that in there. Start the fire. Ooh. Throw in the onions. I'm just going to be adding some simple pepper and salt. This one's exotic peppercorn blend. I don't know. It has a mix of red, white, and black pepper. With this, I'm also going to do the bacon. Toss that in one corner or whatever. Kind of separate it a little bit. Now you don't have to do anything to the bacon, but I really love this Creole seasoning. You can do whatever seasoning you want. You can just do salt and pepper if you want, but I love doing this a little bit over the meat. It's also really good when you make like eggs and bacon for breakfast, just to have a little bit of extra flavor to the bacon. Don't forget to check on your tomatoes. I'm going to throw in the mushrooms. Just to get it going, I'm going to have water in this for the pasta. I mean, I'm making for one, so this is all I need. But if you're making for more people, grab a bigger pot. Just important that the water is salted. Now for the chili pepper, this one's spicier than a jalapeno. I love spicy. You don't have to make this spicy if you don't want to, or you can, pick your own spice levels. Start by just cutting the tip and tasting it to see what it's like. Maybe you don't need the whole one, maybe you just need a little bit. If you grow your own peppers, hey, that's way better. But basically, you just taste it to see how spicy it is. You know yourself, you know your own spice levels and what you can handle. So it's all about just tasting and trying. So I'm just going to be chopping this a little bit. The guy at the farmer's market assured me that this was really spicy, and it's not. So I'm going to put the whole thing in, but, it's up to you. It depends. Like, sometimes they are less spicy, and yeah, this one's not spicy. So I'm going to be throwing the whole thing in. Garlic, it's good to crunch them a little to release the flavors. I am going to be using a garlic press. You can also chop it or just have them whole, but I'm going to be pressing them today. So just mom got me a really nice purple garlic press because I'm obsessed with the color purple. I love this one. This one's amazing. Just simply pressing it in here. And if you haven't noticed, I've lowered the heat a lot because this got done before I was ready for it. Capers. Oh, this one's unopened. At this point, I think I'm going to add the tomato over into this saucepan. Don't burn yourself. I'm gonna turn the heat back up a little bit on that. Tomato paste. This is just, you know, seeing however much you need, adding a little bit at a time. You don't want this sauce to be this liquidy, right? No. We're gonna chop these in halves. Maybe take like 3 of the halves and leave out just to add on top at the very end, just for decorative reasons. You can either do 3 or 5. Maybe like these ones to decorate. Take the rest of them. Put them in. Choose some pretty leaves that you will decorate with also afterwards. Like so. The rest we're just gonna tear them and add into, so it's like a little bit bigger. Just gonna tear and drop in. Pasta water is now boiled, so pick about like a handful, kind of like this much for each person. Let's see. This might be a little much, but let's see how it goes. Just gonna kind of pour this in. And that's gonna take 2 minutes, so I'm actually gonna set on the timer. I'm gonna add more of the tomato puree just to make it more thick. I probably should have poured out some of the water from the tomatoes before I added it on here. Somebody's probably looking at this being like, why didn't you do that? You're probably right, I should have done that. Oh well, shit happens. I mean, worst case scenario, I just have a little bit of a runny pasta sauce. That's the worst thing that happens. I'm gonna lower this to simmer. Yeah, this is way too much food for me. I probably made food for 2 people, so I'll just have lunch tomorrow. Another thing that could be really good that I sometimes do but not always is thyme, fresh thyme. I think I started doing that because my friend has that in her garden, and I very often make pasta at her place, and so we brought that in. That's also very good. You could just do different types of herbs, you know. Check the pasta. It says, you know, it's fresh pasta, so this takes like 2 to 4 minutes depending on how cooked you want it. But always test it. Just gonna try. The good thing about this, I have leftover pasta. You can put that, you can kind of roll it together and put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in your fridge for a couple of days, or in your freezer for, I believe, like a week to 2, maybe even longer. Might have to actually check that. But I usually put the rest of them in a Ziploc bag in my fridge, and that way I can have a different type of pasta tomorrow. Plating. I always talk about plating. I mean, these are my favorite. You guys know that now. But having nice plates. I actually really want to get one of those like really beautiful like pasta dishes. They're not really bowls. They're not really plates. They're like that halfway. Those. I want to get that. But since I don't have it, this'll do. So take the pasta. Ooh. Try to put it in a nice way. Yeah, this is a lot of food, you guys. Oops. I'm just going to be gradually putting the sauce just to make it like nice. See, I think it's about half of it. I mean, maybe 2/3 of the sauce, so I clearly made too much. I have a tendency to do that sometimes. Ta-da! Here we go. So, pasta a la Liz, basically. Yeah. Oh, I'm like hungry. This is so good. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys make my food, let me know. Use my hashtag Lace and Carbs. Tag me on Instagram. Comment under my posts if you want. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube. That way you get notifications and you can stay tuned to the videos I upload. And I'll be happy. Don't you want to make me happy? Anyway, just let me know if you do it differently. If you do it exactly the way I did it, let me know how you like it. And yeah, if you have suggestions for a recipe you want me to make, if there's something you want to see, comment on one of my posts or make your own post and tag me and use my hashtag, and I will add it to my list. See you guys next week. Bye.